Hello and welcome. I'm Wendy Potkin. I'm the Executive Director of the Oregon Hospitality Foundation. We're Orla's nonprofit entity, and as a 501c3, our mission is focused on supporting the workforce, training, and philanthropic needs of Oregon's hospitality industry. I'm particularly excited about facilitating this today's program, as it's a little-known special program within the Oregon Employment Department. Its focus is to help prevent layoffs and to support situations where an employer needs to gradually bring employers back. Since 1983, the WorkShare program has helped more than 1,702 Oregon businesses avoid laying off more than 8,400 employees. I just want to, before we get started, I want to give you a quick housekeeping tip. We will be using chat as our way to get your questions to our presenters. So please feel free to put anything you'd like to know more about in chat, and we will get to it as quickly as we can. It's now my pleasure to introduce our two subject experts whose role are to create awareness and educate businesses on the many benefits of this employer-based program. Adam Grieve and Sarah Ambrosek are both employer outreach coordinators from WorkShare at the Oregon Employment Department. Welcome, you two. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
So good morning, Orla attendees. I'm going to dive right into this because time is valuable. Everyone can see my screen, I hope. It should be prepared correctly. Oregon WorkShare, working together to support employment. We view our program as a partnership with the businesses in the state to help keep them working and keeping people employed when problems occur. And let's just say we've been dealing with a lot of unprecedented problems. I'm going to start off by giving a very relevant testimonial. Gillian Duff is general manager at El Gaucho Steakhouse in Portland. They joined our program in November of 2020 when the shutdown happened, the second shutdown occurred, and they were able to keep their staff paid and not having to do the work search requirements while the business was reduced to takeout only. And now they have brought people back now that Multnomah County has moved over to allowing service again inside the restaurant. They've brought a lot of their staff completely back, and we're still able to help them deal with the reductions in capacity inside the restaurant. They've been great to work with. We have several other restaurants, but they gave us a release of information to talk about it. So today, we're going to talk about the vision statement of OED and how that dovetails in with WorkShare, what exactly the WorkShare program is, why you might choose it as a way to partner with your business, the eligibility requirements for the business, as well as the employees within it, how we calculate your WorkShare benefit, how it impacts your payroll taxes, and we'll touch briefly on how to apply for the program. OED's vision statement is an Oregon where meaningful work enables the state's diverse people and businesses to realize their full potential, creating prosperity in every community. Communities need businesses. Businesses don't do well without a community, and when employees are laid off, they will have to go and search for jobs elsewhere. The entire UI program, the entire unemployment insurance program was designed around that idea of keeping skilled labor in their community until they were able to find work again. This WorkShare is an extension of that to the point where we don't even want people to be laid off in the first place. So when the business has to make that tough decision of, can I keep people on? Do I have to lay someone off? They're really valuable and I don't want to lose them. Enter WorkShare. We can bridge it before it comes to that step. So the WorkShare program. WorkShare is designed to help preserve jobs. If you have to lay off staff, we can allow you to instead reduce the hours of a larger percentage of your employees, a slight amount, and that way they will continue working for you and earning their salary while continuing to earn your business income. So you can maintain potentially 100% of your staff, maintain their skills at the job, and they would receive some UI compensation on top of that. How does this work? So they will get if someone was to be laid off completely and they earned $600 a week, they would qualify to receive $360 a week in unemployment insurance benefits. However, if they are participating in the work-share program, they didn't get completely laid off. So instead, they were only reduced 1 day a week. If they were working a 40-hour work week and you just decided, okay, I'm gonna reduce them by 20%. So they're gonna work 8 fewer hours this week. They'll still receive their salary for those other 4 days, so $480. And on top of that, for that day they didn't work, they receive $72 in unemployment. These are accurate numbers for the moment. So they would receive a total of $552. Is it a complete replacement of their salary? No, but it goes a long way. And right now, due to the stimulus packages that have been paid, you might have remembered the $600 from 2020 spring. There was the $300 lost wages in August, and now we currently have the Continued Authorization Act from December that is $300 a month. And we are anticipating the next stimulus bill will also have another federal pandemic unemployment compensation package. We don't have the final numbers yet, but it's just came out of committee last week, and you should certainly read up on it because that is likely to go through the month of August of this year. We have another company from, unfortunately, this is not in your industry, but Matt Van Suy from Webformix. They're thrilled with how WorkShare allows them to be a little bit more flexible, considering that the business needs are changing every year, day to day. And they are participating in a lot of our special programs, including WorkShare training assistance, self-employment, on-the-job training and apprenticeship programs. All of these things can dovetail together to help a business maintain and even improve the skills of their employees. So why would a business choose this program? It allows you to keep your trained workers, maintain your product and service levels. It shows the value. It shows the value that your employees have for you. A recent retention report for 2020 showed that the costs of hiring a new employee is pegged around $15,000 for hiring and training a new employee. So WorkShare was able to save Oregon's businesses somewhere around the order of $315 million last year in hiring of new employees. It maintains the employee morale, and it also reduces your UI tax rate a little bit versus laying someone completely off. The employees like that they get to keep their jobs. They appreciate that they do maintain their skills. They are able to work while they are earning some UI benefits, and they get to keep their healthcare and retirement benefits as they were before the program started. Also, while they are receiving UI benefits, they don't have to participate in any of the work search requirements that plague people doing UI. Flatline Fabrication joined us in December, and they do a lot of metal work. They create displays for businesses, and the program has been so successful for them that they were able to reduce, let's call it the salary cap that they have, and bring a few people that they had to lay off in the spring back on the job. They have been a great company to work with. So who is eligible? Businesses with 3 or more wage paying employees, so W-2 employees. They have to be eligible for UI benefits. And we'll kind of get into that when we start talking about how long they've been there. The work-share plan lasts for 52 weeks. And after that 52 weeks, you can be renewed. It's just, you just file the application again. When we do check the eligibility of employees, and we can review later on when they do become eligible, they can enter the program. The employees will need to be reduced between 20 and not more than 40%. They need to be available for work, and they need to have worked continuously for 6 months full-time or 1 year part-time. The reasoning for that 6-month minimum is they wouldn't have enough wages from your business to qualify for an unemployment claim if they weren't working at least 6 months. That's just an unemployment rule. And since we are a part of that, we have to follow those rules. Someone who's working part-time wouldn't have a valid claim unless they've worked part-time for at least a year. The other people that are not eligible are seasonal workers. Most of the time, seasonal workers work fewer than 3 months at a time, so they would never meet the eligibility requirements. Employees can't apply for the program. It is an employer-driven program. The employers apply with a written plan. We have gotten emails from people saying, I really want to join Workshare, and we have to tell them, you need to go through your employer. You can't just join. So how do we calculate that Workshare benefit? We calculate it the exact same way that we calculate someone's unemployment claim. We take the previous 5 quarters and we ignore the most recent quarter. And then we multiply that by 1.25% or 0.0125. And if that number falls above 673, they get 673. If it falls below 157, they get 157. We take that number and we multiply it by whatever their Workshare reduction was, between 20 and 40%. So if we take that 673, multiply it by 0.2, we get 134. So that means that someone who is a weekly benefit amount of 673 will get $134 a week in Workshare. Plus, if there is any kind of federal stimulus, they get that on top of it. Sheldon Manufacturing has been in Workshare for a number of years. They have been very happy with how their employees feel about the program. They've had employees who have been on the program for 10, 15 years, and they are able to utilize the program when they need to. They don't claim every week. We have businesses on Workshare who've been on Workshare since the program started in Oregon, and they have made fewer than 15 claims, which has been great for them. The program is here whether you use it or not. We do kind of think that it's a lot better to have a plan in place and then find out you need it rather than have something happen and suddenly need to apply to the program. And then you start missing out on weeks of benefits that would have been available to you if you just signed up every year. It's easy. How to apply? Employers complete the application. You tell us how many employees you have, how many layoffs you think that implementing the plan will avert, the weekly hours and reduction percentage that you anticipate for your employees, and then your expected start and end dates. The end date just ends up being 1 year. Other states have different rules about that. The benefits paid through Workshare are charged to the employer's account the same way as regular UI benefits are, which is dollar for dollar. But since people are paid less on Workshare than their full weekly benefit amount, then the impact on your tax rate is significantly lower. This is our program application form. We don't ask a lot of crazy detailed information. We do like to know how you plan to implement the Workshare program and how you plan to notify your employees of the Workshare plan. We are also available to talk with your employees as a group about what that means. Like, okay, you're going to be enrolled in Workshare. Let us talk with you about that. We do like to have 2 people listed as representatives, just in case there is a change in your job or who is doing it at the job, then somebody else is already familiar with the program. I have brought people up to speed very quickly, but it is nice when we have 2 different people we can talk to. I realize that's not always an available option when we're dealing with much smaller businesses. Our submission system is on our website. It's this little contact us form for when you want to apply for the program. And I'll give you a better picture of it right here. This is our smart sheet. It tells us a lot of information about who is sending us this stuff, and gives you an opportunity to describe who you are, what you are contacting us about. And if it's a new program application and the participant list, that'll get sent directly to the person who needs to see it. And if you just have questions about it, you just click Prospective Workshare Employers and say you have questions about the program and give us a little more details, and probably end up being Sarah or I will contact you. Thank you. I would like to open this up to any questions people might have.
You know, Adam, one of the things that I found really interesting and important for people to know is that Workshare is not in reaction to the pandemic. It's actually been around for quite a while. And one of the things that I want to seek some clarification on is when you said that you could apply yearly, whether you actually claim or not. Is that correct?
Yes, absolutely. There is a boat manufacturer on the coast. This was my first encounter with an employer who'd been in the program for multiple years, or at least the first time it was pointed out to me. They had been in the program for 17 years, and prior to the pandemic had made 5 claims.
Wow.
And I kept asking, like, well, why were you signing up? And it's like, because you can. There's no reason really not to, aside from you just kind of have to turn it into this annual, what are we doing this week? Oh, this is the sign up for Workshare week, where the employees fill out the initial claim form and we submit a new application and sign up again. There are people who apply for unemployment benefits every year. They have a job, but they still apply because something might come up, something like an ice storm that shuts down an entire city for a week. Well, those people are now eligible. If your business was shut down, your employees can claim benefits. If you're on Workshare, you just need to tell us who was scheduled to work that week and was unable to come in, and then we'll file it for them.
Well, that's so interesting. It sounds like kind of an insurance policy in a way. I mean, it's there whenever you need it, but that's good for us to understand. And with the pandemic in mind, Adam, you know, there's a variety of other assistance programs. Is Workshare able to coexist with other support programs that businesses might be using?
So I am familiar with many businesses who received PPP loans, and they were able to utilize Workshare at the same time. That is definitely something you will want to talk to with the Small Business Administration about your particular situation. Because as I understand it, what you are paying your employees comes into that. Like, I understand there's some kind of salary cap with regard to reducing hours and earnings on people. And I don't pretend to understand how they do it. And even if I were to go to the Small Business Administration and say, let me give you these details, and you can just tell me, it's really best that you investigate that yourself, because I can't speak for them.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
You know,
we
Adam,
don't generally ask where the what account you're using to do payroll, just that the employees actually be employees of your business.
That's good. That makes sense. You know, we were talking earlier that our industry as a whole is pretty unaware of this program. It looks like the manufacturing folks in particular have known about it or used it for a long time. We were, how do you feel like this could be particularly beneficial during this time to restaurants and hotels, considering, you know, that business levels are changing and that kind of thing?
So I recently did a Facebook post for our program on the history of the work-share program. And short-time compensation programs have been around since 1910 in Germany to deal with supply line issues and supply chain issues for a potash manufacturing company, where they came up with this idea of, well, we can reduce hours a little bit and pay them to not go look for other jobs. And in 1923, with the Weimar Republic, prior to World War II, it was codified through a state fund, and many countries around the world have work-share programs. And yes, it's true, they were really developed around manufacturing, but Oregon's laws and how we want work-share to be used within the state, we are given a lot of leeway within the federal rules for them. And as businesses are opening up, you might not still be able to give your employees full-time benefit or full-time hours. So because there are still limitations on the number of people you can have inside a restaurant, and limitations on the hours you can normally operate versus what you'd really like to be traditionally, as businesses are allowed to open up, you can bring your employees back from temporary leave and still be functioning on work share, still being within that 20 to 40% reduction range. And that way your employees would still be receiving those benefits and able to work and continue covering your shifts that are available. As I'm seeing the businesses start to open up, we're always a week behind. So I can't look at claims for until I get the weekly certifications in from the employers. I won't see from the business end how many employees they've brought back. I could probably call them, but they're a little busy actually serving people. So I don't want to bother them. I'll just wait till I get the emails showing who's been working and how this is working out for them. And I'm really thrilled at the idea to, as the employers are starting to open up, I can ask them, so what's working for you and how are you better utilizing this? And I'm putting together little charts for my own edification. And if employers call me and are asking, so how are people making this work? I can then tell them, well, some people are telling me they do it this way, and this is how they're getting their hours reported by their employees. And so I'm trying to put together a little cheat sheet.
That's great. Well, Adam, best practices I think are always helpful, especially for a new program, to see how other people apply it. I was thinking about your comment about restaurants being inconsistent or being able to operate a little bit less consistently than they have been. And certainly hotels are the same, because while some people have started to travel, quite a few are still holding back. So I think that we'll be in the same situation. Weekends may be more busy as they used to be, and then it might slow down on a Monday or Tuesday night, for example. I just stayed overnight in Astoria for a couple of nights, and they were full on Friday and Saturday, and they were at 20% on Sunday. So it's a perfect example of how to be able to utilize that. I understand now work-share can also be not just to retain employees, but in terms of bringing back employees. Is that correct?
So my thought there, and this is what Flatline Fabrication was able to do. So because of how successful they've been while utilizing work-share, they've drummed up enough business that they could bring back employees that they'd had to lay off in the spring. Those employees are not eligible for work-share because they have to have been continuously working for 6 months, and they had been completely laid off at the time. But they were able to bring them back. So they were actually able to bring back some of their employees to really help them have the staffing that they want when they're able to open up, as opposed to, okay, now you can open up completely, go hire some people. So it's been able to kind of give them that extra flexibility within their processes. And this is always going to be a case-by-case basis for the employers, but it's nice to have the people before you need them than to be playing catch up after the fact, because nobody wants to get slammed on a Friday night. After talking with a hotel general manager last week, I was trying to get a release of information from them beforehand, but I'd asked them specifically, is there a slow season for hotels? And they said that, October through January is always slow because Oregon's kind of miserable in the fall and early winter. And I pointed out that work-share can even benefit during just slow seasons when it's hard for you to justify having people working full-time hours when they when you would normally say, well, I guess I'm just going to have to let somebody go during the slow season, or you could allow people the opportunity to utilize work share. And if it's just a couple of employees that are agreeing to it, great. You don't have to file every single week. You don't have to include all of your employees on a weekly certification. You can kind of piecemeal it as you go, as long as they're eligible in the system.
That's just great to know about the flexibility. I know I knew a little bit about the program and didn't even realize that. I wonder if you had anything else you wanted to add, Adam or Sarah?
Yeah, I think what's important, especially during the pandemic time, just to highlight, Adam touched on the Continued Assistance Act, the $300 a week. I mean, it's, again, the economy is so volatile right now, and having that additional federal pandemic money right now, that's, with the current bill getting signed soon, it will go from $300 to potentially $400 a week. So not only are you still going to get your wages, you also get your work share unemployment benefit. And in addition, you will also get that federal pandemic compensation as well.
Yeah,
so for a lot
great.
of restaurants that people, rely, like servers, on those tips, this can help offset that for them as well.
That's wonderful. Appreciate you adding that example. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I had a couple of employers at previous webinars asking, so what do we do about tipped employees? Like, well, it's okay. They are capable of being in the program. You pay them with a W-2, all as well. And we know they're hurting because of what they would normally get for income, and then how things get reported to the employment department. They might have a much lower weekly benefit amount than we would normally see, that isn't reflective of how much they actually make. And that extra federal money is a lifesaver for people. And because of how the pandemic affected people's wages during shutdowns, what we will see for the following year, because of how we calculate UI benefits, people will be hounded by that lack of wages in the system affecting their weekly benefit amount for a calendar year after the economy opens up completely. So that federal stimulus is probably, for some people, going to be really the only effective payment that they're receiving, because the WBA will be so artificially low. So it's really a super important thing to have.
Yeah, that's a great point. I hadn't even thought about the 5 quarters, right? When you look back on what you're at the basis for unemployment. Yeah.
And we also have one other thing to make workshare more attractive as a viable thing to regularly participate in. And this is a rule that maybe it's a silver lining that came out of the pandemic. Prior to 2020, if an employee missed a work opportunity, there was very little chance that they would actually receive their weekly benefit, because we had to follow the same rules as regular unemployment, which is, hey, you missed a work opportunity. Sorry. It wasn't for a good reason. But with the pandemic, there were some changes, including a temporary rule that's been put in place since August that allows for the utilization of sick leave, caring for someone who's sick, jury duty, which was kind of a weird throw in, but it's just there, and COVID related things. And with some further follow-up, we were able to find out that, yeah, most things, leave that you don't take by choice, bereavement. Nobody takes bereavement by choice. It is an obligation. And injuries. In some cases, people really shouldn't come to work if they are injured. That can actually result in other people getting injured. If you are not moving around well, you can hurt people if you've got a bad leg and couldn't be up on your feet all day. And you need another day rest, especially in the restaurant industry, with trays and moving around between tables and chairs, and someone, it's messy. So those are now utilized as long as they're meeting that work share percentage, that reduction, that 20 to 40%. If they miss a couple of days and they need to use some sick leave in order to bring themselves back up to that reduction, they're covered under that rule, which is awesome for people, because in the spring and the early summer, we were seeing a lot of, I was sick and I can't get my benefit. So that August temporary rule, hopefully it will become permanent, has been a great boon to people.
Yeah, that's great to know. Thank you. I don't see any other questions from our attendees right now, but I think you've done just a terrific job of outlining this, Adam and Sarah. Thanks for your help also with the chat and for being on board. I did take a look at your website before this event, and the FAQs are fabulous. So for anybody that still, wants a little bit more information, especially to share with others before you receive a copy of this webinar, which you will, the recording, please go onto their website, which is what, Adam? What is your website?
OregonWorkshare.org. I will put it in the chat.
Thank you. So it's OregonWorkshare.org. You can get a recap of all this great information. And thank you, everybody, for attending. Thank you, Adam and Sarah, and have a great rest of your day, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.